There's a whole life inside that jaw. The clench is a kind of biography, an autobiography written in muscle fiber. Every time the world said be strong, the jaw took the order literally. Every time somebody said don't cry, the molars bore down. You can measure the decades of survival in the pressure of the bite. And I think about what it means to want someday to unclench. Someday, not now, not today, not even tomorrow. The dream of peace postponed until some invisible permission arrives. That's what this poem really speaks. Not only the exhaustion of carrying tension, but the strange guilt that comes with imagining life without it. As though relaxing were a kind of betrayal. There are so many of us who live like that. Half alive, half braced. We call it coping, functioning, managing, but what we really mean is enduring the constant rehearsal for collapse. The muscles know it. The breath knows it. The mind rehearses everything that could go wrong and still misses the quiet fact that this very moment, this one right here, is already going right enough. The body becomes a record of vigilance. The shoulders guard the heart, the stomach guards the shame, the jaw guards the words we never said. The mind keeps the sentries post long after the war is over. It forgets how to stand down. That's why peace feels unnatural. It's not that we don't want it. It's that we've mistaken tension for existence itself. To want to feel what it's like not to carry tension in every corner, there's something holy in that wish. Because to make that wish sincerely is to remember that peace is not impossible, just unfamiliar. There's a self in there, beneath the bracing, that remembers softness. Maybe it was a child once. Maybe it sang once. Maybe it wasn't afraid of its own silence. That self is still there, folded beneath the armor. But how does one unfold? That's the real question. How does one rest without guilt? Breathe without the heaviness of worry? Exist without feeling one owes an explanation? I think the answer begins small. One unclenching at a time. The body doesn't need to be convinced. It needs to be trusted. You breathe, not to achieve calm, but to remind the breath that it belongs to you. You let your jaw drop, not to prove anything, but because gravity is a kind of forgiveness. And you stop apologizing for being tired. Because tired is not a failure, it's a report from the front lines. It says, I have been awake too long in a world that will not let me sleep. When I read words like these, I don't hear complaint. I hear courage. The courage to articulate what most people only live through mutely. To say, I would love to know what it feels like to just be, is a confession of faith in the possibility of being. It means you haven't given up on the idea that there could be such a thing as rest. You're still reaching for it, even as your body trembles from holding itself together. That's what makes this kind of exhaustion sacred. It still hopes. You can see it in the phrasing, to exist without feeling like I owe an explanation. That's one of the purest desires I know, because most of our suffering comes from the lifelong audition for acceptance. We keep trying to explain our worth, justify our presence, narrate our usefulness. But worth was never meant to be a performance. You don't have to explain sunlight or rivers or the pulse that keeps time inside you. You don't owe an apology for continuing. Maybe the secret is that falling apart isn't the end. Maybe the whole world is built on cycles of disassembly and renewal. The tree sheds its leaves, the tide retreats, the body collapses into sleep. Falling apart is part of how the world breathes. So when you say, I might fall apart if I stop, I think, yes, maybe you will, and maybe that's exactly what has to happen. Maybe the self you've been holding together isn't the one that needs to last. Maybe the one that rises from a wreckage will finally know what it means to just be. I've spent long nights wishing for that same peace. The kind where you stop translating yourself into something palatable. The kind where the breath isn't a task, but a rhythm that plays itself. Where you can rest without earning it. Most of us don't realize how much we've confused tension with love, anxiety with responsibility, guilt with morality. We think the clenched jaw means we care. We think the restless mind means we're trying. But there's another kind of care, one that trusts the world enough to stop gripping it so hard. When the poet says she'd love to feel what it's like not to carry tension, she's not fantasizing about laziness or detachment. She's dreaming of innocence, not ignorance but innocence. The kind that lets the world be what it is without the constant urge to control or preempt it. That innocence isn't childish. It's ancient. It's the state before fear entered the muscles. If I could, I'd tell her this. Peace isn't something that arrives like a package. It's what's left when you stop holding your breath for the next disaster. You don't earn it, you uncover it. Beneath the rehearsals and the explanations and the clenches, peace is waiting like a buried animal, breathing slowly, waiting for you to notice it never left. Someday may not come as an event. It may come as a single exhale that feels a little different. A moment when your body realizes it's not in danger anymore. A moment when you don't have to prove your worth through pain. That's the miracle. Not that the jaw unclenches forever, but that it remembers it can. So to whoever wrote this, thank you. You've spoken the truth of millions of invisible lives. You've reminded us that gentleness isn't weakness. It's the first real act of strength. Because it takes courage to stop fighting long enough to rest. And to anyone reading it who feels their own jaw tighten in recognition, you don't have to fix yourself first to deserve ease. You can rest as you are. You can breathe even if the mind is still racing. You can be tired without explaining it. The body knows how to heal if you let it stop performing. The soul knows how to return if you let it stop apologizing. I would absolutely love to see all of us unclench someday. Not because the world got easier, but because we finally remembered we are more than the struggle that shaped us.